All right, y'all. So I have been wanting to do this since last year. So got the family out to the front and backyard to collect spiderwort flowers, which the name does not sound particularly appealing, but they are really beautiful purple flowers that grow all year round actually in Florida, but particularly in the spring. So I've been waiting since last year to try to do this. I really wanted to candy these flowers so that we could keep them for a while and enjoy them. The kids loved this idea. So the first step was taking the heads off and the petals off all the flowers. We did this with spiderworts, as well as here I have actually some lemon balm and some peppermint we had in the garden. So first, you can see here my oldest is taking the flower heads off. We also decided to candy some of the little bud pieces, which actually ended up being pretty great too. And these flowers spiderwort has a bit of a peppery taste, I would say. Not overwhelming, but it actually turned out to be great in the end, the taste of them. So here is me doing my best influencing job on this meringue powder ingredient. And sugar, that's really all you need, plus water to create candied flowers, or any type of really candying, I suppose. You have 2 teaspoons of the meringue powder for an egg white type of base, instead of using real egg whites, because egg whites would not be an ideal situation to use raw, just for food allergy poisoning issues. But so basically you use 2 tablespoons of the meringue powder, which is like an egg white substitute, to 2 tablespoons of water. Mix that up, and then we basically brushed all of the petals with that mixture. And then you're going to see us in a little while putting a little sugar base on top. So here you can see I mixed it all up, and then I'm brushing each of those petals, in this case the leaves of the lemon balm and the peppermint. And here's a bit of a close-up. I wanted to show you kind of what that looks like with not only the egg white substitute wash, but also a little bit of that sugar on top. So here we are, really kind of continuing to prep. You can see my middle daughter there, so cute, putting the petals onto a napkin, because first what we wanted to do was obviously wash everything off that we got from the yard, make sure it's clean, and then dry it so that we can have the best base for that egg white substitute wash. So I used kind of like a basting brush. The recipe that I had seen for this, it was kind of like 2 or 3 that I sort of mixed together to get this idea, was for like almost like a small paintbrush would actually work really well, especially for the leaves and petals of the spiderwort, because they are so small and delicate. But this brush was what I had that was like food safe, and honestly it worked out fine, especially for the mint options, for like the peppermint and that lemon balm. And I will say, what I did learn from this is that the mint leaves really work well for candying, because they are so stiff and just like super firm. Like those things aren't going anywhere. And you'll see at the end what I mean with that, because I definitely had a fail with this that turned out to be okay for taste in the end. So that's at least good. But here we are, we're continuing to kind of brush that egg white substitute mixture over each individual petal. I will say the peppermint is magical. It tastes like peppermint ice cream. So definitely 10/10 recommend doing this with your herbs, your sweet like mint type herbs in the garden. And so we're just transferring them again to the plate so that I can continue to whitewash them. You see on the left there, my daughter is continuing to pick the heads off all of the spiderwort flowers that we got. We had so many flowers. It's crazy how many flowers we were able to pick. But let me get into how this kind of failed as you're watching us do this. So basically spiderwort flowers are really interesting because they grow mostly they bloom mostly in the morning. Here I'm putting on just some of that sugar topping and turning them over and doing more sugar topping. But because those petals expand just in the morning and then they close up kind of in the afternoon and evening, essentially that's what happened. As we went through the day and we were candying these, they started to really close up. So they looked beautiful for several hours, and then it was clear that they were just closing up as they do. And because of the wetness from that egg wash, they, continued to stay closed, right? Like once they were closed, it was like a binder with the egg white wash, and it just stayed closed. I would love any feedback from anybody who's tried this before. It could be that because I was doing this with kids and we were trying to kind of move quickly, I couldn't like individually like I wasn't prepared to spend hours individually, maybe with a very small paintbrush, brushing these particular petals and then like being extra careful with each one about how we place them. We just didn't have the time or the patience, quite frankly, especially with the kids. But I would imagine with certain other types of flower petals, this would really work well. Like I've heard like pansies or other type of cute edible flower can be really fun for this and that hold their shape. And that's why I say the peppermint and the lemon balm, those leaves, for example, did really hold their shape. And so again, if I tried this again, and I'm sure we will, because it was really fun and it was still very delicious, I would probably use more of those type of stems. So here you can see we were just, especially towards the end, we were getting tired and we were just excited to try this little fun dessert. So here's me just kind of transferring them to a little paper towel to further dry them. And they still looked really great here. You can see, you know, they're starting to close up, but still, I mean, I was impressed and definitely was excited about the end result. So this is what they look like at the start of kind of their drying process. It takes about 24 to 36 hours to dry them, just air dry. You can also put them in the oven apparently for a couple hours at like 200 degrees and just like leave the oven door open a little bit. It was already hot here in Florida, so I wasn't prepared to do that. But then look at this. So this is the next day. And I also am intrigued by the fact that spiderwort, it seems to have this dye, that purple dye on there. So now, of course, I'm like, could we use these for like Easter eggs or different dyeing of things? And then this is kind of the final product. I put it back onto like a parchment sheet for further just drying at about hour 24. And you can really tell there, right? The mint, lemon balm, peppermint did really well. The buds of the spiderwort also did kind of well, and it's interesting to see those. And as far as taste, let me just share a little bit more about that, because even though these don't maybe look as gorgeous as they do fresh, which by the way, you can use these fresh and just pick them off, wash them, and like garnish salads with them. People have been doing that for many generations, and I think that would be absolutely stunning, and we'll definitely be doing that as well. But if you wanted to candy these and dry them, they apparently last for up to a year, and I just like the idea of even maybe chopping these up further, making like a little flower confetti. Like I think there's a bunch of ways you can do this, but the taste is what I wanted to just end with, because that was a super win. And the taste is basically a kind of a sweet, almost like a vanilla with that egg whitewash substitute. It's a very sweet wash of a little bit of the sweetness plus the granulated, that cane sugar on top. And then though with the spiderwort, you have kind of a peppery, spicy aftertaste. And honestly, it was so good. We definitely enjoyed. I would 10/10 recommend making this, even if it didn't necessarily look as beautiful as the flowers do fresh. But definitely, if you know anything about this, would love to learn more in the comments if you have thoughts or recommendations. And I will be definitely posting more about our adventures in culinary, flower art, and food prep. So stay tuned for more, and thanks for being here. See you in the next video.